This is the Extra Point Podcast. During this podcast, we will dive deeper into our Sunday teaching and share practical next steps for your faith journey. Now, let's kick off the Extra Point.
Hey everybody, I'm Will Ford. I'm an intern here at Southridge Church, and I'm here with Pastor Scott Beha, who preached to us Sunday on a little bit about rejection. And can you give us a rundown of that sermon?
Yeah, so we were in 1 Samuel 29, and it's this really kind of short story where the battle lines have been drawn up between the Philistines and Israel, and David is going to have a choice to make if he goes into this battle of where his loyalties are going to lie. We know that they're going to lie with Israel, and Israel's God ultimately, but that would put him in a precarious situation. And so I believe that this is a story of rejection, but rejection being a good thing, because him and his men were at the back of the kind of caravan of troops that are marching, and the other Philistine commanders say, we don't want David to come into battle with us. We don't want him. We don't trust him. And it was one of those instances where rejection always hurts us. And we don't really like rejection, but we can see that sometimes rejection can actually be for our good, because I think that's what happened here. I think God stepped in and sort of soured the hearts of the commanders towards David, because King Achish was completely fooled by David. He did not know that David was running double agent stuff, plundering the towns of the Philistines when he said that he was plundering the areas of Judah, of the Israelites. He's completely fooled. And truthfully, the king could have just been like, well, we don't really care what you have to say. He's coming with us. And for some reason, even though Achish is fully committed to David, he sends him home anyways. And it really does seem like there was this divine intervention where God goes, no, I'll use this rejection for my purposes so I can get David ultimately where I need him to go. Because if David goes into battle and fights with the Philistines, he'll never become the king of Israel. If he goes into the battle and fights with Israel, he'll get kicked out of the Philistine territory, and perhaps his enemies in Israel will get the best of him. So really in this moment, rejection was the best thing for him. And so that's really what we were looking at on Sunday, was that even though rejection really does hurt, like I don't think that this hurt David that much, but if it was us, when we get rejected or when we get told no, it hurts. Yeah. Makes us question ourselves, makes us doubt ourselves, makes us think, man, how did I think things were so good, or how did I think that this was going to go this way, and I was totally wrong. And even though it hurts, we do see that the question we were asking over and over is, can rejection be a blessing? And we come to the realization that, yeah, maybe not all rejection, but in time we can see that rejection can definitely be a blessing.
Definitely. Now, David was playing that double agent aspect, but it might seem like to people around him that those, rejections had no basis in fact.
Yeah.
So we might experience that actually not being double agents.
Yeah.
So we'll have a lot of thoughts about that, a lot of negative thoughts, and I was wondering, what could we do to combat that?
Yeah. Yeah, so when rejection comes, obviously there's two categories that it will fit in. Either there were valid reasons that people rejected you or told you no, or there were invalid reasons. This is really difficult. If it's valid reasons, I would say, listen, if you actually were the problem, learn from it and get better.
Yeah.
If whatever they are saying about you, whatever it is that they're using as their motive to reject you or say no to you, is completely unfounded, it's false, the hard thing about that is there's really nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
You can continue to live your life faithfully and allow God to sort it out, but that's still a very painful process. Nobody wants other people to be lying about them or having false understanding or pretenses about them. Our normal inclination would be, I need to correct them. I need to fix them. I need to fight for myself. I need to show them that they're wrong. And it's been my experience, I don't think that that's really that helpful.
Yeah.
If people will believe lies about you or tell lies about you, they will not believe the truth about you normally. They just won't. And so it's a lot easier to let other people fight on your behalf and let God fight on your behalf to figure out what's true, right? Like if you can say before your family, before God, that you are innocent in the situation and that they have come to this conclusion for whatever reason, and there's nothing you can do about it, then that's all that you can do is, hey, make sure that you're not a hypocrite. Make sure that they don't have a valid point. Be open to the fact. What if they have a valid point? Be open to that. But if they're not, you're going to have to learn to just move on and realize that sometimes people are just going to think stuff about you and say stuff about you that's not true. They're going to reject you for certain reasons. They're going to tell you no for certain reasons that maybe are completely unfounded. And you really don't have a need to go and try to prove every single person wrong. Because at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, that's what you'll spend your whole life doing.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to get busy doing what God's called us to do and be a lot less worried about all the detractors and people that say negative, false things about us, and get more busy on becoming better versions of ourselves and doing what God's called us to do.
Yeah, it's definitely, that seems like a good way to keep us from becoming bitter in those situations, because going after what God has called us to do and we know that we're doing it right, then it's easier to let that stuff slide off our back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to get bitter if you stay in the same place. But if you will learn from whatever the situation is, or be able to just honestly just hand it over to the Lord and go, look, I can't change how they think about me. I can't change what they think. I can't change the fact that, hey, they don't want me to go into battle with them. And it's out of my hands. And so eventually you just got to get that out of your life, or else you will become bitter. There's people right now that are bitter over stuff that someone told them no, rejected them. They didn't get a job offer that they thought they were going to. Someone broke up with them, and it was years and years and years ago, and they've internalized that to think that, and listen to the lies of the enemy. And here they are bitter all those years later because they could never get over it.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but it's a worthwhile process to dig up that root of bitterness and get rid of it.
And I figure that's a lot of where the pain comes from.
Yeah.
On this aspect of giving it over to God, and because it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely where the pain comes from. Is I remember prayers just personally where I go, God, I know we say all the time we need to hand stuff over to you and not pick it back up. And I'm not even 100% certain that I know how to do that.
Yeah.
I pray it a lot.
Yeah.
But then I still end up with it in my hands. And so I don't even know how many of us really do know how to do that. Like really lay something down once and for all. It's so difficult. But the longer we hold it, the longer we'll sit in pain. We won't be able to move on.
And then that kind of gives us that idea of what you were speaking about Sunday, where God is in charge, not in control, but in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important that we understand the difference between God being in control, God being in charge. If God were in control, it would mean that he was literally micromanaging every single decision, movement, thought that you have. I don't think that this is the biblical record that we see of how God operates whatsoever. It seems obvious that God gave humanity free will to choose. And so I think it's more theologically accurate to say that God is in charge, meaning he set the rules of the game, and he can intervene in the game anytime that he wants, like he did with David. I think that he stepped in, soured the hearts of the commanders, for some reason got Achish to do whatever it was that he wanted him to do, and he sent David home to spare him from the situation where he was going to have to make a choice that might alter really what God wanted for him. And so that's the difference. God didn't make anyone God wasn't micromanaging every single situation, but at the end of the day, God's will is going to go forward because he's in charge. He set the rules from the beginning. He gives you a choice. And at the moment that he sees fit to step in, stop the game, change the rules of the game, interfere however he sees fit, he's more than well within his rights to do so. And so I think it's a good idea to think of God being in charge rather than micromanaging humanity. He stands above it all. And at the end of the day, he does have the final say, so therefore his will will come to pass one way or another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this pain that we get to experience through these rejections and things like that, it's being used for something greater.
Exactly. I always tell people, I don't think that God causes pain.
Yeah.
I think that he allows it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he uses it. Because pain is a naturally occurring thing because of the fall of humanity. And so God doesn't cause pain. He's not the one that's, oh, I lost my job. God must have done that. No. There's other situations, or, oh, man, I got a bad diagnosis. No, God didn't make you sick. God doesn't cause pain. These things happen very naturally. However, he will not waste your pain either. He has a purpose for your pain. And so because the world has fallen, you experience pain, and God has seen fit to redeem that pain to make you a more perseverant, a more to have more godly character. All sorts of things that the scriptures talk about is the result of enduring pain. And so God being sovereign allows him to use the pain even though he doesn't necessarily cause it. He's not the root cause of pain.
Yeah. I always like to imagine it as like forging a sword,
Mm-hmm.
That fire's not going to feel good,
No,
but you're going to come out strong.
absolutely. Yeah, that's we need stress to grow. This is what happens when you go to the gym. You're lifting weights. You're putting stress on your muscles. It's during the stress time. But then what happens after the stress time is a time of rest. And it's during the rest time that what happened during the stress time can allow for growth. That's how muscles grow. And that's the same thing for how our character is grown. We go through stressful times, and then we will go through a season that's relatively peaceful. That's where the growth will come, is in that season. Because we went through what we went through. I always tell people, I'm convinced it's the things that we go through in life that have made us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't have the ups and the downs and the valleys and the mountaintops, we wouldn't be who we are. Like, we need those times where God has forced us to grow because life is not easy. We need those times to fully develop our character, to be the people that he called us to be, to do the stuff that he's called us to do.
Definitely. So, with all that in mind, what words of encouragement could you leave us with beyond just that?
Yeah, I'll say this whole idea of rejection being a redirection and that it can be a blessing. It doesn't mean that it happens overnight, right? Like, you're not going to get over that relationship ending, that friend rejecting you, not getting that job, not getting that house, or whatever it was that you had your heart set on. You're not going to get over it in a night, most likely. But I heard enough amen Sunday whenever I asked the question, can rejection be a blessing? I heard so many people, especially those that are well along in age, they go, amen, yes, it can. I will say, just know, even though it doesn't seem like it right now, there will be a time that you look back on that rejection, on that difficult season, and you'll see what God was doing all along, and you'll be able to praise him for it. But that doesn't mean it's not going to hurt in the moment.
Yeah.
But there is a payoff coming.
I loved your illustration about getting stood up for the Valentine's Day dance, because that's something I can resonate with a lot, because I had this relationship that went on for years. It was like cat and mouse. I just kept getting rejected, and then it'd leave a little breadcrumb, and then keep going back for more rejection. And it hurt a lot in that time. But if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't know what I was looking for in a partner.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't be with my amazing wife at this point. Because of that rejection.
Yeah, every bad relationship, every rejection I've ever had in life, in regards, all led to who I'm with right now.
Yeah.
Who has been the best relationship that I've ever had. I mean, just an absolute dream situation that I'm married into right now. That I go, if it wasn't for all the bad, I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for the rejection, if one of those other people had said yes whenever they said no, or we hadn't gone our separate ways, my life would look drastically different right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can look back and go, yeah, I am. It hurt like crazy, like to get told no or to get passed over for somebody else or whatever it was. But like now, my relationship with my wife is so much sweeter because I went through hard times. It's the hard times that make good times good times. Because if you didn't have hard times and you didn't have good times, all you would have was just regular times, right? It's just everything would feel the same. But it's because we go through really difficult seasons that make the good seasons feel really good.
Yeah.
And so there's a payoff coming, so stay encouraged. It's not, again, it's not easy. No one's saying that it's easy. I'm just telling you, get around some folks that have been through some stuff, and that will help build your faith in this area.
Yeah.
Like, if your circle that you do life with is all your age, you need to find some people that can speak into your life that are a little bit older than you. And they can tell you, because I was talking to someone Sunday, and they said, listen, 37 years ago, if my marriage had not just gone down in flames like it did, they said, I wasn't even a Christian when all that happened. But because of the rejection that I felt there, now here I am sitting in church with my husband 37 years later, serving the Lord. Our lives were never the same. She was like, and it hurt so much. But I can look back and go, yeah, God was able to use. Did God cause divorce? No, God didn't cause divorce. God is not a proponent of divorce. But did He use it in that case? He did. He did. He goes, well, if this is what's going to happen, then I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to bring good from it somehow, like only God can. And again, that's not necessarily the advice I give to everyone. Oh, well, I guess we should just end it now because God's got something. No. Listen, Christians, we're meant to fight for our marriage. This was a story of people that weren't Christians.
Yeah.
But because of what they went through, now they are Christians, and they've got this beautiful family that has been serving the Lord for years now. And God brought something good out of something really bad. And that can happen over and over again. If you get around people that are older than you that have been through some stuff, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
They'll let you know.
That's great stuff. Well, I'm so grateful to have this talk with you. And we will be back next week with another extra point on our Rise and Fall series.
Thanks for tuning in to The Extra Point. Be sure to subscribe to the Southridge Church podcast and tune in every Wednesday for another episode of The Extra Point.